Airbnb just finished its best quarter ever over the summer. So what does that mean for you as an Airbnb owner or prospective short-term or Airbnb buyer? Let's get into it.
If you're new here, my name is Ralph Naro, and over the last 20 years, I've been buying real estate and lending money on real estate for all types of properties. But I'm not here to sell you on me. I'm here to tell you how I did it. Over the last few years, I've amassed a short-term or Airbnb portfolio worth over $20 million. With that, it's allowed me to retire younger, replace my income from other ventures with all short-term rental income, and travel all over and even own properties in other countries.
Number one, the homes that are available on Airbnb have increased again last summer and were up almost 10% since 2019. I'm going to use the year 2019 a lot in this discussion because that was the last market we had before COVID. So it was the last kind of normal market that we had that was similar to today's market. So since that market in 2019, the homes that are available have increased by 10%. So that's a big number, so the homes that have come to market in Airbnb, and we're gonna get into that number a little bit more, in 2019 were 10% lower than they are today in 2022. Number two, the total demand for homes is up 20% from last year and another 16% since 2019. So what does that mean? That means that the total people looking to rent Airbnb or short-term rentals is up 20% this year. That's a huge number. Now, the homes that are available are up 10% and the demand is up 20%. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but what you're going to see as we get into the next number is that occupancy was down 5%, but up 7% since 2019. So what does all these numbers mean, right? So occupancy in this year so far is actually down 5%, but the reason that your occupancy is down is because there's more Airbnb homes available. So since there's 10% more homes available and occupancy is down 5%, overall, the market is up. The market is up this year as far as demand and people looking for homes, 20%. So that's a great number. So that means that recession, inflation, higher interest rates, higher costs, people are still traveling and they're still using Airbnb as their preferred source. So after this record quarter, what we're seeing is that Airbnb has become more popular, or short-term rentals has become more popular, not less popular, as a means of travel. Number four, total revenue was up 23% and 42% since 2019. So total revenue, so the total money made, right? The total money gained in income, gross income, was up 23% this year and 42% since 2019. Now let's look at that 42% number. That's a great number that it's up that much, but some of that has to do with inflation, right? Costs were a lot lower in 2019 than they are now. Expenses were a lot lower in 2019 than they are now. Daily rates were a lot lower in 2019 than they are now. So it's all kind of relative. Yes, it's up 43%, but I'd rather focus on that 23% number. The costs today and last year are around the same. So the fact that total revenue is up 23% is a great sign. What I've seen in my own personal Airbnbs, and I own a significant amount of them, is that people went back to vacation this summer, right? So all the vacations that had paused over the last couple of years came back this summer and people really went on vacation. So now there's a worry, right? Well, what happens when it goes back to pre-COVID habits? I think it has, and the reason I say that is because wherever you are, I'm in North America, I'm in the United States, in New York and New Jersey I live, and I have properties in 8 states, but not only did people travel within the country more, people traveled out of the country more. So that's something that wasn't available during COVID. During COVID, people just traveled in the country, right? So I think that this was a normal travel cycle that we saw this year, for the most part, and that you saw people travel more and Airbnb was their preferred method of traveling, right? So there's a big positive to take out of this summer's Airbnb market. By the way, supply is way up, right? Which is going to make it harder and harder. So this is something you have to be wary of as an Airbnb owner. Like I said in point number one, that the homes that are available have increased, right? That means that supply is up, right? Supply is up and so is demand. As demand wanes a little bit, and I think you will see demand come down because, again, we're in a recession. Some people are suffering right now. There is some job loss right now. People's investments are down. People will spend less, right? The general public will spend less over the next 6 months to a year, I believe. As demand wanes a little bit and supply is up, what you're going to see is two things. The first thing is you're going to see some of that supply come down. Some Airbnb owners won't be able to sustain their Airbnb market, and they will take their home either off the market or repurpose it. So they can either sell or make it a long-term rental or make it maybe just their home again. So you're going to see some of the supply wane because of that reason, because some short-term rental owners won't be able to sustain their market during a recession. So that's one. The second thing is, what I've said to you before and I'll say again, this becomes more and more important for you to have a unique house. What I mean a unique house is you need to have something that sets itself apart from the rest of the things. Now, it doesn't mean you need to have a $3 million mansion. You just need to have a home that's different in the market than other people, or in a market that's not overcrowded with a million different homes. If you look at the markets that are going to be affected most right now, they're the highest markets as far as Airbnb rentals. And I'll look at a market like Austin and Nashville. Those markets will still be good because people are still going to travel. There's still travel destinations, but you had a ton of Airbnb owners come on the market in those places in the last 3 or 4 years. Some of those Airbnb owners in those markets that have thousands of Airbnb rentals available, right? Some of those people in those markets, if their home isn't unique, then they're going to get less of a day rate, and with that less of a day rate, they're not going to be able to sustain their business, and when they're not going to sustain their business, they're going to get away. Where you can succeed is if you have home and vacation areas that aren't over flooded or oversaturated with homes that are there. You want to have homes that have, again, multiple layers of income. You want to have homes that have attractions in the area that aren't just one attraction. And I'll use an example. I have a home that's in an historic downtown, by a beach, by a lake, I've gone through this before, right? You want something that attracts people to the area that they're still going to want to visit. But in doing that, you're still going to have a unique home. If your home you feel like is not unique, or you're buying a home that's not going to be unique enough to set itself apart from other homes, then this would be a good time to look at long-term rentals. And why that's not bad news, and I'm going to tell you why that's not bad news. During recessions, during inflation, guess what? Rent still goes up. So your long-term rentals will probably still go up between 8 and 10% this year, so it increase. So even if you can't sustain your short-term rental because it's just too saturated of a market, it's a good time to be a long-term rental owner in this market. Overall, the markets that grew most were in major cities. So let's get into that, right? So the markets that grew most over the last year and over the last quarter, where we had a big influx of business, were in major cities. So number one, leading the way was Houston. Houston, Texas is a city that's growing. So the cities that are growing are going to have, growing for business, growing for employment, growing in a market that is hard to afford. Houston is an affordable city, and because it's an affordable city, the Airbnb market grew also. Following Houston was Phoenix, same thing. More of an affordable city. We're not talking about Scottsdale, which is more expensive in Arizona. We're talking about Phoenix, which is a more affordable city. There are jobs available there. There's an economy that is working there, so you're going to see more people come in, right? It's growing with Airbnbs. And home ownership was a big increase in Phoenix, Arizona this year, which may take a little bit of a hit right now, but that's why you saw more Airbnbs there. Following that was San Antonio. Again, like Houston, is a city in Texas. You had a huge influx of people from the West Coast, from California, and more expensive places in California and on the West Coast, into Texas. Houston and San Antonio seem to have benefited most from that influx of people. Number 4, Las Vegas. Again, very, very a growing city, a growing economy. The entertainment business came back there. The casino business post-COVID came back there. As that happened, you had more Airbnbs pop up. And 5th, again, in Texas, and I think Texas is a huge part. This is Dallas. So now we have Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas, which were huge markets that grew for Airbnb. And I believe this happens because a lot of the West Coast presence, and even East Coast presence, moved to Texas because it was an affordable city with low taxes. Remember, there's no state income tax there, and people migrated to those cities because it's a more affordable place in high inflation and a recession. This correlates with the population moving. So all these cities, right, that have gone up correlate kind of with population moving. So as you're looking for an Airbnb opportunity for yourself, you're going to look for places, again, that have multiple attractions, for cities that aren't flooded with people coming there, and for a unique home, right? A unique home that's different from the rest. That's what you can use to succeed. If that's not the case for you right now, that doesn't mean you're not going to be in a good short-term rental market again. It just means that you may have to pivot and adjust for the time being. We're in a high inflation period. And that's what you should be looking at, possibly turning your property into a long-term rental with long-term rent rising right now. It may be a good time for you to do that. I hope this was helpful. If you want more Airbnb tips or short-term rental tips and tricks, go to my page right now. We have a ton of stuff up there. If you want to see something, message me, hit us in the comments, and tell us what you'd like to see next. I hope you're enjoying this. My name is Ralph DiMagnara. I'll see you soon.